Fairly recently, we published our IoT MVNO tracker. For those who are not familiar, this is a pretty massive data set. First of all, covering 27 specific IoT MVNOs, tracking their historical growth and looking at their potential market size up to 2031. Looking forward, we're actually seeing potential for quite robust growth. When we look back historically from 2017 to 25, you typically see year-on-year growth rates or compound average growth rates well over 20% for several providers. Moving forward, obviously a lot of these providers are starting to mature. You also have factors coming in like large-scale investment in AI data center and consequent supply chain bottlenecks and price rises for components across quite a significant portion of the value chain. So that potential growth is probably going to be restricted. We're expecting something like 15% compound annual growth across 2025 to 2031. And then there are emerging opportunities, specifically in areas like retail, where point-of-sale devices are starting to demand things like SB32. That plays quite nicely into IoT MVNOs' hands. And then smart metering. So I've just mentioned CSL bringing on connections, quite a substantial number over the coming years. But, this is on the basis of the resilience concept, I think, which is perhaps eroding traditional MNO plays where, they relied on perhaps monoprofile. Okay, you provide an eSIM for insurance purposes, but now you have regulations coming in the US, for example, that require things like continuous monitoring, continuous availability. So you need to have that quite resilient failover. And I don't think it's necessarily restricted to just a SIM technology, but also an infrastructure technology. I'll talk about that perhaps in a little bit.